I said it, I didn't say it. Well, we'll ask Dr. Bala Takaya, beg your pardon, who joins us now. He's a political scientist, national president of the Middle Belt Forum. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm sure you must have been very intrigued by developments over the weekend. The statement issued by former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, and also the statement issued before that, General Olusegun Obasanjo, also president, and the developments that have happened since his own statement, before we now saw this one. What precisely has been running through your mind with all of these developments?
The atmosphere in the political terrain is getting warmed up, and all is legitimate. Under the Constitution, people are free to associate, people are free to express their minds, people are free to proffer opinions for the solution of the present situation that Nigeria is going through. And when this happens, it's healthy. But I understand that the former military president of Nigeria, Ibrahim Babangida, has denied ever issuing such a thing. Even though in his denial, he rides on some of the points that were raised.
Well, we have it on good authority that he did indeed write that statement. His media spokesperson, who's been his spokesperson for 13 years and counting, insists that the former military president did write that statement, issue that statement. And we have it on the front page of This Day, this morning. IBB speaks to This Day, affirms his own statement, says he stands by his initial statement. So that denial, even though you say he still rides on what the first one was, why do you think there is, some controversy over he said it, he didn't say it?
Yeah, politics is a game of topsy-turvy. Depends on what you want to put across to people. And some people use all kinds of gimmicks in order to ride on an issue.
Does it water down the import of the first statement for you?
The import of the first statement is an assessment of the ground and an advice to the present administration as well as to the Nigerian public to reconsider our political culture, to reconsider the process of raising leadership, to consider the leadership succession process, and to consider refocusing of Nigeria towards development. I think that was the initial thing.
Mr. Takaya, it's worth noting that in the This Day report, they're saying that, of course, as Malpe mentioned, that General Babangida spoke directly and exclusively with This Day, saying that that second letter was actually written by some friends and that he had nothing to do with the second letter, but that indeed he wrote the first. I want to ask you, in view of that, if we're to take the first letter, as the former military president has said, as authentic, what do you think the consequences are and will be in terms of the 2019 elections?
Well, it's a matter of how the present administration will try to do some damage control and how they can, they have to learn to grow out of the criticisms. Politics is a game of mudslings. And if they consider this as mudsling, they have to grow out of it, they have to wipe it off. And they have to work towards convincing Nigerians that what have been said about them, about their failures and so on, is not true. Albeit, there's only 1 year to go. 3 years have been squandered. And it's up to Nigerians now to read between the lines.
Squandered, that's a strong word.
I stand by that. Because there hasn't been much of governance in the last 3 years. I must be very frank with you on this.
Let me ask you now, you're a very influential kind of leader in the Middle Belt and in the North at large. And I want to ask you, when you look at the farmer-herdsman clashes and the crisis that has brought into the country, how do you think that might affect the 2019 general election mathematics when you talk about Benue, when you talk about Taraba and some of these other states that were won by APC, at least in Benue and Taraba it was PDP, but they voted quite largely for Muhammadu Buhari. How do you think that will affect it?
Well, I hope the electorate will rethink their position and justify or not justify what has happened to them since they gave their mandate in the last, election. And there's a chance for them to change what they have created if it has not satisfied them. But if they have understood the reason why they have suffered so much and so much bloodshed has been shed, and government seems to have looked away, then they can still vote back what they have created. But otherwise, election normally is a time for reconsideration and change. You change the leadership, you change the focus, you change the game, and you therefore embark on a new direction that will be salutary.
Some people are very disturbed by the nature of this criticism, and they believe that all of this is geared towards 2019. In fact, some people say that these people, the former military leaders who have also in one or two instances been president, are the godfathers and the kingmakers. They only come out when it's time to make the kings, and they come to throw their weight behind someone whom they support or to withdraw their support. And all of this criticism is not really altruistic. All of this is about 2019. Is that your reading of it?
Altruistic, I won't know. I won't put it that way. It's natural that those who came through the crucible, those who led this country before, those who know where the shoes, pinch, and what needs to be done about it, from time to time should come out and advise those who are in power.
Do you really think that...
But if those who are in power have been advised and they don't listen, then it becomes necessary for them to come out into the public sphere and then shout out that something has to be done.
Some people say they don't have the moral right. I mean, they both had the opportunity. General Babangida was in office for 8 years. President Olusegun Obasanjo was military leader, and then he was also president for 8 years. Can we say genuinely that they set this country on the right trajectory and the country has derailed?
Listen carefully to what they have said and weigh the message and ignore the messenger.
We should ignore the messenger. That's the way we should handle this particular message.
That's what.
Would you say that the coalition, I mean, we've seen General Olusegun Obasanjo, President Olusegun Obasanjo, launch a coalition. He's now part of a coalition. He mentioned it in his letter, and a week later on, we saw a coalition launched here in Abuja, of which he has now joined. He's now a member of that coalition. Do you really think that that is the way to go?
It's an adventure. Whatever coalition he has created is an adventure. Adventures sometimes yield good results. Sometimes it ends in ruins. And it depends on how people read him or read the people in the coalition or what they believe in what is happening. They have stepped out. It's better to do something, to step out and do something and let it fail or succeed rather than be placid and for the same things to continue, in a wrong direction. And so what they have done is an adventure. Probably it will yield into something that will change the direction of what we're doing. But what I know is that you change administration through a political party platform, not through coalitions. And coalitions are disastrous things. It never worked in Nigeria. And you don't do coalition unless you have the structures that are already there bidding for power, and then they put their acts together for the time being, not necessarily as one integrated body. But this is a nebulous coalition of individuals. All you get is names. You don't get to know what are the political structures that came into coalition. That's the best way to analyze it. But as I said, it's an adventure.